Welcome to Zoe Crossdressing. I always believed my mom's expectations were simple. Study hard. Stay out of trouble. Build a respectable life. That's what parents want, right? But recently, I've started to sense something underneath all that, something unspoken, heavier than ambition. My name is Ethan. I'm 20, introverted, a psychology major who still lives at home. Ever since my father died 2 years ago, it's just been the two of us in the house. Quiet hallways. Familiar routines. Too much time to notice small changes. Mom has always been affectionate, but lately her attention feels sharper. Like she's studying me instead of just seeing me. It began on an unremarkable Saturday. I was half awake at the dining table, scrolling mindlessly through my phone, when she appeared with tea and freshly baked cookies. She dressed carefully, a soft pink top, hair styled with unusual care, as if the day mattered more than it should have. "You work too hard," she said gently, setting the tray down. "You forget to look after yourself." "I'm okay," I told her. "Midterms are coming up." She sat across from me, fingers wrapped around her cup, eyes lingering on my face longer than necessary. "You know," she said slowly, "you remind me of the daughter I never had." The words landed oddly. I frowned. "Daughter?" She laughed lightly, but there was emotion behind it. "If I'd had one," she added, "I imagine she'd be kind. Sensitive. Just like you." I forced a smile, unsure how to respond. The moment passed, but the unease didn't. That night, I heard soft humming from the living room. When I looked in, she was watching an old home video, footage from years before my dad got sick. On the screen, a much younger me twirled around with a towel draped over my shoulders, pretending it was a dress, lost in childish imagination. Dad's laughter echoed from the speakers. I remembered it clearly. Mom didn't laugh. She watched with a tender, almost aching expression. When she noticed me, she smiled. "You were beautiful," she said. "You still are." "Mom," I muttered, embarrassed. She stood, walked closer, and brushed her fingers along my cheek. "You grew up too quickly," she whispered. "Sometimes I miss my little girl." I barely slept that night. A few mornings later, I found a box on my desk. Wrapped in pale pink paper. No card. No explanation. At first, I assumed it was from my girlfriend. But when I opened it, my chest tightened. Inside lay a white blouse, light, elegant, unmistakably feminine. It smelled faintly of roses. My mother's perfume. At dinner, my voice shook. "Did you leave something in my room?" She paused, then smiled calmly. "Oh. Yes. I was organizing old things. I thought it might suit you." "Suit me?" I echoed. She nodded. "We're built similarly. I wore clothes like that at your age." Then, softly, almost hopefully, "You don't have to wear it. I just wanted to see." Her eyes never left mine. Heat rushed to my face. "Mom, that's a women's blouse." "Yes," she replied evenly. Just one word, calm and unbothered. Not defensive. Not apologetic. It felt less like an answer and more like a challenge. "Is that an issue?" she added, tilting her head slightly. I hesitated, tripping over my thoughts. It's not really me." She took a slow drink of water, eyes never leaving mine. "You've spent your whole life worrying about what's you according to everyone else, Ethan." Her voice stayed gentle, but there was weight behind it. "You're terrified of being honest with yourself." That night, sleep wouldn't come. Her words kept circling in my head like a whisper I couldn't shut out. Be honest. Be yourself. By morning, curiosity had won. I locked my bedroom door and opened the box again. The blouse lay exactly where I'd left it, impossibly neat. I stared at it for a long moment before finally pulling it over my head. The fabric barely registered against my skin, cool, feather-light. It settled against my body as if it belonged there, fitting in a way that felt intentional, not accidental. I stepped toward the mirror. The person looking back startled me. My hair, grown just a bit longer than I usually noticed, framed my face differently. The blouse softened my shoulders, reshaped the lines I'd always assumed were fixed. For a heartbeat, I didn't recognize myself. And for another heartbeat longer, I didn't hate it. A knock broke the spell. "Ethan?" Mom's voice floated through the door. "May I come in?" My heart slammed. "Wait, no. I'm busy." A pause. Then her quiet laugh. "Oh, sweetheart. I've changed your diapers. There's nothing I haven't seen." Panic surged. I tore the blouse off and tossed it onto the bed, hands trembling as I cracked the door open. She stood there, studying me the way she had been for weeks now, soft smile, sharp awareness behind her eyes. "You look flushed," she said, brushing my hair back gently. "Did you try it on?" "What?" "No." The lie came out too fast. She didn't argue. "Didn't need to." "You don't have to pretend with me," she murmured. "Not anymore." That was when I understood, this wasn't confusion. It wasn't nostalgia. It was intention. The next afternoon, I came home from campus and stopped cold in my room. My closet wasn't mine anymore. My jeans and hoodies were shoved aside, almost apologetically. The rest of the space was filled with soft colors, dresses, knit sweaters, skirts arranged by shade. Everything fit my frame. Everything looked new. On the dresser lay a folded note, written in her familiar, careful handwriting. "Let's make tomorrow special. I'll help you choose something pretty." My chest tightened. This wasn't teasing. This wasn't a mistake. That night, staring at the ceiling, I finally let the thought finish forming, the one I'd been dodging since that first strange conversation. What if this was never about success? What if she didn't want a son at all? Morning arrived too quickly. I opened my closet again, hoping, ridiculously, that it would all be gone. It wasn't. The clothes waited patiently, tags still attached to some of them, like proof they'd been chosen just for me. Then I noticed a small pink sticky note pinned to a hanger. "Start with this one." My hands hovered, shaking. An invitation. Or a decision already made. "I think it'll bring out your skin tone." Those were the words written beneath the note. Hanging below it was a lavender dress, soft and elegant, lace tracing the neckline like something fragile and deliberate. My fingertips grazed the fabric without thinking. It felt smooth, costly, carefully chosen. Too carefully. I shut the closet door fast, heart racing. This was ridiculous. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't going to wear it. I told myself that again and again as the morning dragged on. The house was too quiet. Mom moved around the kitchen, humming the same absent-minded tune she always did when something occupied her thoughts. The warm scent of pancakes floated down the hall, comforting and unsettling at the same time. I tried to focus, on homework, on my phone, on anything, but my attention kept slipping back to that closet. Eventually, resistance gave way to restlessness. I closed my bedroom door, took a steadying breath, and carefully unzipped the dress. The mirror reflected my hesitation as I lifted it over my head. The fabric slid down effortlessly, settling against me as if it had been tailored for my body. It traced my shoulders, cinched softly at my waist, and fell in a gentle line over my legs. I turned slightly, watching the color play against my skin. For the first time, the face in the mirror didn't feel like Ethan. It felt quieter. Softer. Unfamiliar, and disturbingly convincing. Footsteps approached. "Ethan?" My stomach dropped. "Can I come in?" Her voice sounded light, almost amused. "Wait," I started, panic rising. The door opened anyway. She stepped inside carrying a tray of tea, pancakes, then stopped short. Her eyes widened just enough to notice. The room fell silent. I braced myself for laughter. Shock. Disapproval. None of it came. "Oh," she breathed. "Ethan." Her voice softened completely. "You're lovely." Heat rushed to my face. "Mom, this isn't, I was just." She set the tray down and approached slowly, her gaze steady, uncritical. "You don't need to justify it," she said gently. "Curiosity isn't something to be ashamed of." I took a small step back. "This is strange." "Strange," she repeated, as if considering the word. Then she shook her head. "No. This is honest." "What are you saying?" I asked, my pulse loud in my ears. She smiled faintly and reached up, tucking a loose strand of hair away from my face. "You've always been gentle," she said. "Even as a child. The way you handled things. The way you noticed beauty. You never fit the mold people expected." "That doesn't mean—" "I know," she interrupted softly. "It doesn't mean anything bad." Her thumb brushed my cheek. "It just means you've been hiding pieces of yourself because you thought you had to." I didn't have an answer. My thoughts tangled together, heavy and confused. She stepped back then, looking me over, not critically, but thoughtfully. There was pride in her eyes. And beneath it, something else. Something unsettlingly satisfied. "There's one more thing," she said abruptly. Before I could respond, she reached into her pocket and placed a small velvet case in my palm. It was cool and heavier than it looked. I opened it slowly. Inside lay a thin silver chain, elegant and understated, holding a tiny pink gem that caught the light. It shimmered softly, almost shy. "I picked it up yesterday," she said. "I saw it and thought of you." "Mom. I can't wear this." My voice sounded distant, even to me. "You can," she replied, without hesitation. "And you should." Her tone wasn't sharp, just assured. "This isn't about labels or rules. It's about allowing yourself to feel beautiful." The certainty in her voice unsettled me more than anger would have. My fingers shook as I lifted the necklace free. Before I could second-guess myself, she stepped closer and fastened it around my neck, her touch gentle and practiced. "There," she whispered. "It suits you." The metal rested against my skin, cool at first, then strangely comforting. A wave of emotion rolled through me, fear tangled with something warmer, harder to name. "You don't need to pretend anymore," she murmured. "This house can be your safe place. I'll take care of you." She kissed my forehead, gathered the tray, and left the room with quiet normalcy, like she hadn't just crossed an invisible line. I sank onto the bed, staring up at the ceiling, heart pounding. What was this becoming? Support, or something far more controlling? The days that followed blurred together. Every morning, she laid out clothes for me. Each choice edged further from what I used to wear. Soft skirts. Pastel tops. Light fabrics that felt deliberate. When I resisted, she never argued. She smiled. "Don't be afraid of color, Ethan. You look tired in those old clothes. Just try it." Her persistence was calm, patient, unrelenting. And somewhere along the way, I stopped pushing back. Maybe I was worn down. Maybe I was curious. Maybe it was because the mirror no longer filled me with immediate rejection. The reflection felt unfamiliar, but freer. Lighter. Still, guilt gnawed at me. Emma didn't know. I dodged her calls. Let messages go unanswered. I told myself I'd explain later, when I understood this myself. One evening, Mom appeared at my doorway holding a small shopping bag. "I thought we could make tonight special," she said brightly. I frowned. "What do you mean?" Her smile turned playful. A little transformation. My stomach dropped. Mom. She lifted a finger gently. Trust me. Before I could protest, she'd emptied the bag onto my desk of brushes, powders, lip colors arranged with meticulous care. I used to love this, she said quietly. I never thought I'd get to share it again. I wanted to stop her. I truly did. But the longing in her voice, soft, almost fragile, tied my words in knots. Sit, she said kindly. And I did. Her hands moved with practiced ease, applying foundation with careful strokes. Close your eyes, she murmured. I obeyed. And as the brush swept across my skin, I realized I wasn't just letting her paint my face. I was letting her redefine me. The brush glided over my face in slow, careful strokes, barely there, like a secret being shared. She hummed softly while she worked, that familiar melody she always slipped into when she felt at ease. One step followed another, liner, mascara, a muted touch of color on my lips. Nothing loud. Everything intentional. When she finished, she gently turned the chair toward the mirror. Go on, she murmured. Look. I opened my eyes, and my breath caught. The reflection wasn't the version of myself I recognized. The face staring back felt altered in some impossible way, gentler, more composed, almost luminous. It was still me, but reshaped into someone else entirely. Mom's smile appeared behind me in the glass. Her hands rested on my shoulders, warm and grounding. I knew it, she said softly. This is who you were always meant to be. My heart raced. Mom, don't say that. She only smiled, serene and unwavering. You'll understand, she whispered. You don't have to resist forever. After that, time seemed to lose its edges. Days slipped by in a strange, muted rhythm. Each morning, new clothes waited near my bed. Each morning, I told myself I wouldn't touch them. And each evening, I found myself standing in front of the mirror again, studying a reflection that felt less unfamiliar with every passing day. Mom moved differently now, careful, deliberate, as if everything might break if she stepped too hard. She called me sweetheart constantly. Sometimes darling. I joked about it, rolled my eyes, pretended it didn't matter. But it did. There was certainty in her voice now. Not playful. Not accidental. One morning, I came downstairs half awake, back in my old jeans and hoodie. She sat at the table, tea steaming in front of her. Her eyes traveled over me, slow and assessing, and she exhaled quietly. Those clothes don't really show you at your best, she said. Mom, please, I muttered. Not today. She tilted her head. You seemed lighter yesterday. Happier. I wasn't, I said quickly. You're imagining things. She didn't argue. She simply stood and crossed the room, her footsteps barely making a sound. Do you trust me? She asked. I hesitated. Then nodded. Yeah. Good, she said. Come with me. She led me upstairs into her bedroom, a place I hadn't entered in ages. The air smelled like lavender and something faintly sweet, a scent tied to old memories. She opened her wardrobe and drew out a soft, cream-colored sweater dress. I bought this for you, she said quietly. Just try it. Mom. 5 minutes, she said gently. That's all. I gave in with a sigh. 5 minutes. Her smile was small, but unmistakably pleased. In the bathroom, I slipped the dress over my head. The fabric was lighter than I expected, thin and smooth. It settled against me effortlessly, fitting in a way that felt intentional. When I stepped back into the room, her face lit up. She clasped her hands together, eyes shining. Oh, she breathed. My sweet girl. Mom. Stop. She didn't hear me. She smoothed the hem, tucked my hair back, her touch reverent. It's perfect, she whispered. You're perfect. I turned toward the mirror once more. The dress draped softly over me, my shoulders sloping differently, my neck catching the light just so. I didn't know what frightened me more. How natural it looked. Or how little I wanted to take it off. For one breathless moment, I barely recognized the person staring back at me. And what scared me most wasn't the unfamiliarity. It was that I didn't recoil from it. Later that afternoon, she surprised me again. She placed a small cosmetics bag in my hands, light and neatly zipped. "I want you to get used to it," she said gently. "Get used to what?" I asked. "Feeling at ease," she replied. "With yourself." I shook my head. "Mom, this is going too far." Her expression softened instantly. "I'm only trying to help," she said. "You've been so tightly wound for so long. Don't you notice how different you seem when you let go?" "This isn't letting go," I snapped. "This isn't me." She studied me in silence for a long moment. Then she spoke quietly. "It could be." The words settled between us like something heavy and unmovable. I turned away before she could say more. "I'm going upstairs." As I left, I heard her voice drift after me, barely above a whisper. "You'll understand soon, my love." The next morning felt oddly hollow. The house was brighter somehow, too still. I went to the kitchen, expecting her to be there, but instead I found a note on the counter. "Out running errands. Be ready by 3 o'clock. Wear something nice. We're going out." My stomach sank. "Going where?" She returned right on time, relaxed and smiling, shopping bags hanging from her arms. "I booked something," she said casually. "For what?" She smiled wider. "A salon." "No," I said immediately. "Absolutely not." She raised an eyebrow. "You said you trusted me." "I didn't agree to this." She laughed softly. "Come on. It's just a trim. Maybe a little styling." "I'm not doing this in public," I said, my voice tight. She stepped closer, cupping my cheek gently. Her touch was calm, grounding, and terrifying. "You don't need to be afraid." "I'm not," I lied. Her smile was faint but knowing. "Then show me." The salon smelled like shampoo and something sweet, vanilla maybe. Warm lights reflected off mirrors everywhere. The receptionist looked up, smiled, then glanced at me, taking in the dress Mom had insisted on. "Appointment?" she asked. "For my daughter," Mom said smoothly. The word hit me like a shock. "Daughter." The receptionist didn't blink. "Right this way." My heart pounded as I sat in the chair. The stylist ran her fingers through my hair thoughtfully. "You've got such lovely texture," she said. "A little layering would really suit you." I opened my mouth to correct her, to explain. Mom's hand settled lightly on my shoulder. "She trusts you," Mom said evenly. The stylist smiled. "You're in good hands, sweetheart." Scissors moved. Hair fell. Time blurred. When it was over, Mom inhaled sharply. "Oh, it's perfect." The mirror reflected someone unfamiliar. Softer lines. Longer bangs. A shape that framed my face in a way I wasn't prepared for. I wanted to reject it. I needed to. But something else stirred instead, an unsettling flicker of excitement. Mom squeezed my hand. "Doesn't it feel right?" I couldn't answer. That night, alone in my room, I stood in front of the mirror again. My hair caught the warm light, glowing gently. The lavender dress rested over the back of my chair like a quiet reminder. And for the first time, I wondered. Not who she wanted me to be, but who I was slowly allowing myself to become. My fingers drifted to the necklace resting against my collarbone. The small pink gem caught the light, glowing softly. I wondered what she saw when she looked at me now, her son, or the version of me she'd been quietly imagining for years. The truth settled in slowly, almost gently. She wasn't simply supporting me. She was guiding me. Shaping me. Nudging me forward with every dress, every approving glance, every carefully chosen word. And what frightened me most was how unsure I felt about stopping it. After the salon, something inside me had shifted for good. Like a latch clicking open somewhere deep in my thoughts, one I couldn't force shut again. Every mirror I passed offered glimpses of someone unfamiliar, hair softer around the face, features appearing sharper and gentler all at once, movements that felt subtly altered. It was still me, technically. Just less Ethan. More something undefined. When I stepped into the kitchen, Mom was already there arranging breakfast. She turned and immediately smiled, the kind of smile that bloomed fully when she saw me. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said. "Did you rest well?" "Yeah," I replied, scratching the back of my neck. Her gaze lingered on my hair, and pride flickered openly across her face. "It really suits you," she said. "You look luminous." "It's just a haircut," I muttered, staring at the floor. For a brief moment, something unreadable crossed her expression. Then the smile returned. "You keep saying that," she said lightly. "But you don't sound convinced." I stayed quiet. She placed a plate in front of me, pancakes again, carefully shaped into hearts. "Eat," she said warmly. "You've got a full day ahead." My stomach tightened. "Doing what?" Her smile took on a knowing edge. "You'll find out." After breakfast, she called me upstairs. In her bedroom, several outfits were spread neatly across the bed: skirts, blouses, soft fabrics, and a pair of slim-cut jeans that clearly hadn't come from the men's section. I swallowed. "What's all this?" She clasped her hands together, pleased. "Choices," she said. "Everyone deserves them." "Mom, I'm not." Her voice sharpened just slightly. "Not what, dear?" The words stuck in my throat. "I'm not a woman." She smiled calmly. "Not yet." The room seemed to tilt. "What?" I whispered. She laughed softly, waving it away as if it were nothing. "Oh, relax. I just mean you haven't really met yourself yet. You've spent years keeping parts of you hidden." "I'm not hiding," I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Her eyes gleamed gently. "Then why can't you meet your own reflection without looking away?" I opened my mouth to respond. Nothing came out. She motioned toward the bed. "Pick one. Any outfit you like. You can't know who you are until you try." I hesitated, my fingers brushing over the neatly folded clothes. Each piece felt like a challenge, a quiet line drawn in the sand. Finally, I reached for a crisp white blouse and the fitted jeans. It felt safe. Mom's eyes lit up. "Good girl." I froze. "Don't call me that," I snapped. She tilted her head, a small, almost apologetic smile forming. "Sorry, honey." It just slipped, though I could tell it struck a chord. That week, she began layering what she called small adjustments into my life. No more oversized hoodies. No more sneakers inside the house. And the strangest of all, lessons in walking. "Walking, gracefully?" I laughed. "Yes," she said, placing a hardcover book atop my head. "Posture. Balance. Light, confident steps. Try." "Mom, this is ridiculous," I muttered. "Just humor me," she said. The first attempts were disasters. The book toppled. I muttered curses under my breath while she laughed quietly, lightly, as if nothing mattered more than this moment. But then, slowly, something shifted. My steps lengthened. My posture straightened. Movements once clumsy became deliberate, measured. Mom clapped softly. "See? You're natural." I scowled. I still think this is absurd. Of course you do, she said, her voice warm and steady. It's new. But soon, it won't be. There was a strange undertone in her calmness, subtle, almost imperceptible, but impossible to ignore. That night, I overheard her on the phone. Yes, she's responding beautifully, Mom said, pride lacing her words. A pause. I told you all she needed was a gentle push. Another pause. No, not yet. But soon. She's starting to see it herself. I pressed against the doorframe, hard hammering. Who was she talking to? What did she mean soon? When I stepped away, her calm reflection in the mirror lingered in my mind, smiling, assured, in complete control. The next morning brought another shift. Mom called me to the living room, where a small table had been arranged like a delicate shrine, brushes, palettes, lipsticks, and glittering trinkets laid out meticulously. What is all this? I asked warily. A reward, she said softly, eyes twinkling. For how brave you've been. I frowned. Mom. Hush, she interrupted gently. Just sit. I lowered myself hesitantly onto the chair. This time, she said, handing me a brush, you're going to do it yourself. What, you've been watching me? My voice shook. Now it's my turn? I stared down at the tools laid out before me, the brushes, powders, lipsticks, all of it strange and foreign in my hands. I didn't know where to start. Mom's smile was calm, patient. Then I'll guide you, she said, her voice low and steady, almost hypnotic. Step by step, I found myself obeying, following her rhythm. Light strokes, gentle taps, careful blending. The change was gradual, like uncovering a secret one layer at a time. When she finally tilted my chin up, she whispered, "Look." I faced the mirror, and my chest froze. It wasn't Ethan staring back. It was someone else. Softer. Quieter. Eyes carrying things I hadn't dared to feel. Mom appeared behind me in the reflection, serene and proud. There you are, she said. I knew I'd find you. I swallowed hard. Mom, please, stop. She leaned closer, her voice barely audible. You can still call me Mom if it comforts you. But deep down, you know this isn't about me anymore. What do you mean? I asked, my throat tight. This is about you, she said. The real you. The one hiding behind all your fears. I shook my head. You're wrong. Her eyes softened, pity mingled with certainty. Am I? That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the necklace resting against my chest. The pink stone glowed faintly in the dim light. I wanted to remove it, to undo whatever spell she had woven over me. But every time my fingers grazed the clasp, something stopped me. It wasn't fear. It was absence. A strange tether I couldn't name. Removing it felt like losing something essential, even if I didn't understand what. When sleep finally claimed me, my dreams were full of mirrors. Countless reflections, some unmistakably Ethan, others not. And in each one, Mom stood behind me, whispering the same words, "You were meant to be my daughter." Morning arrived like a subtle shift in the air. Something felt off. I got out of bed and froze. My drawers were empty. My old jeans, my hoodies, all gone. Only the new clothes she'd bought for me remained, folded neatly on the chair. I walked into the kitchen, tense. Morning, she said brightly, stirring something on the stove. I did some cleaning while you were asleep. Where are my clothes? I demanded. She turned to me, smiling gently. Oh, those? They were worn out, sweetheart. I thought it was time for a fresh start. You threw them away? I asked, disbelief sharpening my voice. Don't look so upset, she replied lightly, as though she had done nothing wrong. And just like that, the world felt different, like I was already slipping into someone else's version of it. You have plenty of nice clothes now, she said, gesturing toward the neatly folded stacks on the chair. Much better ones. I stared at her, disbelief and something sharper, anger, rising in my chest. Those were mine. They don't belong to the old you anymore, she said softly. Let go of what no longer serves you, darling. My fists clenched. You can't just. Ethan, she interrupted, calm but unyielding, you've been so hard on yourself for so long. Let this be the beginning of peace. Peace? I snapped. By pretending to be someone I'm not? Her smile never wavered, though her tone grew cooler. Pretending? Is that what you call discovering happiness for the first time in years? Her words struck me like a sudden gust, unrelenting. I saw you in the mirror yesterday, she continued quietly. The way you looked at yourself. You were captivated. You liked what you saw, didn't you? I opened my mouth to deny it, but my voice betrayed me. Her eyes softened, then sharpened ever so slightly, as if she already knew the answer. You can lie to me, Ethan, but don't lie to yourself. The next days passed in a strange, precise rhythm. She crafted my life like a script written in painstaking detail: wake, shower, moisturize, dress with care, breakfast, lessons in posture, lessons in speech, and exercises in feminine comportment. At first, I thought she was joking. I wasn't. She corrected the way I sat, how I spoke, even the way I inhaled. Relax your shoulders, she'd instruct softly. Keep your voice light. Gentle. Whenever I resisted, her head would tilt ever so slightly, and that look, disappointment laced with quiet insistence, made my stomach twist. You promised to try, she'd murmur. Don't break your word now. I couldn't recall making any promises. Yet somehow, I couldn't refuse. By the third week, she began calling me by a new name. Lena, she said one morning, handing me a steaming mug of tea. I frowned. What did you just call me? Lena, she repeated, smiling faintly. It suits you. That's not my name, I said sharply. It could be, she murmured. No. My name is Ethan, I insisted. Her head tilted, calm and calculating. You're sure about that? Yes, I said firmly. She sipped her tea, eyes lingering on me. Funny, when I look at you now, I don't see Ethan anymore. The silence stretched between us, heavy, suffocating. That evening, she invited me to sit beside her in the living room. An old black and white movie played on the screen, a story about a mother and daughter slowly rebuilding their bond. Halfway through, she leaned her head against my shoulder. You know, she said softly, almost shyly, I always wanted a daughter. I know, I whispered, my voice tight. And for a long time, I thought I'd never have one. You do, she said, her hand finding mine. Not in the way I imagined, perhaps, but you've always been more than that to me. My throat tightened. What do you mean? She looked at me gently, eyes steady. It means you were born into one world, but maybe you were meant to step into another. But you belong to another world, I said, pulling my hand away. Stop it, I added, voice sharp. Her expression didn't waver. I'm not forcing you, Ethan. I'm helping you find yourself. You're controlling me. I shouted. You're twisting everything. Her face went still, almost unreadable. Then, deliberately, she rose. If you truly believe that, she said quietly, you're free to leave. I froze. You. I can? My voice barely carried. Of course, she said, nodding. Go ahead. I looked toward the front door. It was open. Evening light spilled across the floor, the street beyond inviting me. And yet, I couldn't move. The thought of stepping out, hair softly framing my face, lingering perfume on my skin, the quiet transformation in my posture, made my chest tighten. I can't, I whispered. She smiled, stepping closer, calm as ever. I know, sweetheart. That was when I realized. She hadn't meant freedom at all. She meant surrender. From that night onward, the house grew smaller, darker. The front door stayed locked for safety. My phone disappeared, too many distractions from your new life, she said softly. Each day became a regimen, posture, voice, makeup, poise, gestures, even how I laughed. At first, I resisted. But resistance drained me. Soon, I moved through it almost automatically. And sometimes, against my own will, I caught myself smiling. Not because I wanted this, but because it began to feel natural. Her approval became like oxygen. A nod, a soft good girl, the slightest flicker of pride in her eyes, and my heart would leap. It terrified me. One evening, after another round of lessons, she brought out a dress. Pale pink, delicate lace edging the neckline. I bought this for you, she said softly. I froze. No. Absolutely not. She didn't argue. She laid it gently on the chair. When you're ready, she whispered. Hours passed. My gaze kept returning to the dress. By midnight, I found myself in front of the mirror, holding it loosely. It's just fabric, I murmured. It doesn't mean anything. But when I slid it over my head, my breath caught. It fit too perfectly, like it had been made for me. And the reflection that looked back wasn't Ethan. It was Lena. The name Mom had chosen. The name I had sworn I would never accept. I whispered it, almost afraid to hear it aloud. Lena? It didn't sound wrong. Her figure appeared in the doorway, calm, proud. I knew you'd come around, she said softly. Mom, my voice trembled. What are you doing to me? Nothing you didn't already want, she said, stepping closer. You were lost. I'm just showing you the way. Tears pricked my eyes. You're making me someone I'm not. No, she said, shaking her head gently. I'm helping you become who you are. Her hands rested on my shoulders, steady and warm. From now on, she whispered, you're my daughter. And in that moment, with her reflection behind me in the mirror, proud, serene, unstoppable, I realized something terrifying. A part of me didn't want to fight anymore. The next morning, sunlight poured into the room, but it felt intrusive, exposing something I wasn't ready to see. I was still in the pink dress. I hadn't meant to fall asleep in it, but when I woke, it was the first thing I noticed, the lace brushing my collarbone, the faint trace of lavender she had sprayed lingering in the air, mingling with the heat of a transformation I could no longer deny. Everything felt wrong, and yet, in a twisted way, comforting. I caught my reflection in the mirror, mascara smudged at the corners of my eyes, hair curling loosely at the ends, slightly tousled from the night before. I barely recognized myself, and I wasn't sure I wanted to. A soft knock at the door made me freeze. Lena, are you awake? She said it again, my old name erased as if overnight. Mom, I said quietly. Don't call me that. She pushed the door open just enough to peek in, her face softening at the sight of me. Oh, sweetheart, look at you. Stop, I whispered, my voice tight. She ignored me, stepping inside with that bright, unyielding smile. You're glowing. You finally slept peacefully, didn't you? I shook my head. No. I had a nightmare. Her eyes flickered for a moment, but her tone remained gentle. Sometimes, dreams show us what we need to accept. That's not acceptance, I snapped. That's control. She sighed, setting a breakfast tray on the table, toast, tea, a tiny vase with a single flower. I know this is confusing, Lena. But you'll understand soon. This is who you're meant to be. I felt my fists clench. My name is Ethan. She didn't flinch. Her smile carried something sad, patient. Ethan was a name for someone hurting, someone who didn't know peace. But you, she brushed a stray lock of hair from my face. You're free now. I recoiled. Free? You took everything from me. Her eyes glimmered with unshed tears, yet she didn't break. I gave you what you were too afraid to give yourself. That day, something inside me shattered, not in rage, but exhaustion. Hours passed as I sat on my bed, staring at the clothes she had laid out, every color, every texture, every detail, decisions I had never made. And yet, a quiet, persistent whisper echoed inside me, what if she's right? It terrified me that I couldn't silence it. When I finally faced the mirror again, I realized I didn't know what I wanted anymore, to run, or to surrender. That evening, her voice called softly from the hallway, Lena, we're going out. Out. I said cautiously. She smiled. Yes. You've been hiding long enough. My chest tightened. I'm not ready. You'll never be if you keep waiting, she said simply. Now, get dressed. The outfit she had chosen wasn't extravagant, a soft blue dress, silver earrings, light makeup, innocent, understated. I stood in front of the mirror, my reflection a perfect stranger. Every instinct screamed, change back, wipe off the makeup, tear the dress apart. But I couldn't move. Mom appeared behind me, her hands resting on my shoulders. You look beautiful, sweetheart. I don't want this, I whispered, voice trembling. Her tone dropped, low and earnest. You think I didn't see how miserable you were before? You think I didn't notice how you avoided mirrors, how you hid from the world? That doesn't mean I wanted this. I met her eyes in the reflection. Then why am I still wearing it? Her words cut sharper than any slap. I wanted to claim fear. Pressure. Anything, but deep down, I couldn't find the truth. Come on, she said softly. Trust me. We drove into town as the sun dipped below the horizon. The world outside felt different, louder, brighter, sharper. Every car, every pedestrian, every glance felt like a spotlight fixed on me. Mom parked near a small cafe. Let's just sit for a while, she said. You'll be fine. I followed her inside, hands trembling. Conversations seemed to pause. Eyes turned, not with ridicule, but curiosity. And in that moment, I realized there was no going back. I noticed the murmurs first, quick smiles, hushed comments, eyes darting away the moment I met them. My skin prickled. I wanted to shrink, to fade into the background. Mom, meanwhile, looked luminous. Relaxed. Untouchable. She ordered our drinks with an easy laugh, chatting with the waiter like this was any other evening. When he walked away, I leaned closer, my voice barely audible. They're all looking at me. Let them, she replied gently. You're done hiding. I don't belong like this, I whispered. She tilted her head, studying me. Then why does everyone else accept you so effortlessly? The question followed me all the way home. The moment we stepped inside, my thoughts tangled into knots. I rushed to my room, shut the door, and pressed my back against it, heart pounding. I yanked off the earrings, smeared the lipstick away with shaking hands, and stared at the mirror, half-finished makeup streaked with tears. Someone unfamiliar stared back, suspended between two identities. Then I noticed her reflection. Mom stood silently in the doorway. Stop watching me. I snapped. Her face cracked, just for a second. Hurt flickered across it, raw and unguarded. I'm not against you, Lena. Don't call me that. I shouted. She stepped forward, her voice unsteady now. Do you have any idea how long I've waited to see you smile? I did smile before. No, she said sharply. You were hollow. You shut yourself away, locked me out, disappeared piece by piece. I was losing you. My chest tightened. So this is how you fix that? By replacing me? I'm not replacing you, she said softly. I'm rescuing you. From what? From yourself. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Then she reached out, palm open. You don't have to fight anymore. There was something in her eyes, love tangled with desperation, devotion edged with obsession. My resolve wavered. That night, sleep never came. I sat by the window, moonlight spilling across the floor, replaying everything, the lessons, the clothes, the name she insisted on using. Was I being molded into her vision, or uncovering something I'd buried long ago? At 2 in the morning, I stood before the mirror again. My hair curved softly around my face. My skin looked unfamiliar, smoother, calmer. Even stripped of makeup, the reflection didn't resemble Ethan anymore. Who am I? I whispered. The silence didn't answer. Morning brought a note on my desk. My dear Lena, if you truly want to leave, the door will be unlocked. But if you stay, today we begin again, no pretending, no hiding. Only truth. Love, Mom. I read it again and again until the words blurred. Then I walked to the front door. It stood open, just like before. The world beyond waited, recognizable, distant, terrifying. I could step through it. Take back my name. My past. Myself. But my feet refused to move. Behind me, her voice floated softly, hopeful. Lena. I turned. She stood there, tears glinting at the corners of her eyes, arms open as if she could embrace not just me, but the life I once knew. You don't have to decide today, she murmured. Just be. My heart hammered in my chest. One step. Then another. Each footfall felt both natural and terrifying. When I finally stopped mere inches from her, she leaned closer and whispered, "Welcome home, my daughter." The words lingered in the air, half lullaby, half incantation. I didn't speak. I didn't nod. I didn't flee. I just stood there, suspended between two names, two identities, two truths that no longer fit neatly into my chest. Morning came quietly, too quietly. From downstairs drifted the faint clatter of dishes and the soft hum of a tune I hadn't heard in years, a lullaby from my childhood. It tugged at something buried, comforting and disquieting all at once. I lingered at the bedroom door, hesitant to descend, to step fully back into the life she was building around me. The scent of pancakes crept into the hall, warm and sweet. For a fleeting second, I wondered if yesterday had been a dream of the dress, the makeup, her insistent desire for a daughter rather than a son. But the moment I reached the kitchen, the illusion shattered. She was waiting, seated at the table with a serene, knowing smile. 2 plates were set neatly before her, but only 1 cup, a pink ceramic mug that read, "Mommy's Girl." I froze. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said, too casual for the tension in my chest. "Up late last night? Did you sleep well?" Yeah, I mumbled, hesitating as I slid into the chair. She tilted her head, glancing at the mug as if it were an everyday object. "Oh, that? Just something I found in storage." "Cute, isn't it?" I stared at it, then at her. "You used to call me Champ. Remember?" Her smile faltered for a heartbeat. "You've outgrown that name." "I'm not your," I began, lowering my voice. "This isn't a joke," she interrupted gently but firmly. "You've been distant for years, Ethan. I don't even remember the last time you smiled. I just want to help you find yourself again." By turning me into someone else, I muttered, but she didn't answer. Instead, she cut a piece of pancake and placed it on my plate with a calm, measured hand. "Eat," she said softly. "It'll make you feel better." I wanted to push it away, to declare she'd gone too far, but I couldn't. Her voice carried that quiet authority, the same subtle power that had always made me shrink into myself as a child. I chewed slowly, and she watched me, not warmly, not with tenderness, but like a scientist observing a delicate experiment. Then she spoke again, almost absent-mindedly, yet the words cut sharper than a knife. "You used to love dressing up when you were little." I froze mid-bite. "What?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. She smiled, distant, almost dreamlike. You don't remember, do you? I frowned. Remember what? You'd sneak into my closet, she said softly, try on my scarves, dab my lipstick, twirl in front of the mirror, and laugh at yourself. You looked so happy. I was 4, Mom, I muttered, tense. That means nothing. It means everything, she said, voice low and intimate. That was before the world decided who you were supposed to be. Her words settled over me like a weight I couldn't lift. Mom, I said slowly, deliberately. You need to stop this. She tilted her head, a faint curiosity in her eyes. Stop what? This, all of this, I said, gesturing vaguely at my life, at the clothes, at the lessons in front of the mirror. Trying to make me something I'm not. Her eyes darkened for a heartbeat, but her tone remained unervingly calm. I'm not making you anything. I'm just reminding you. I retreated to my room that afternoon, desperate for solitude. I locked the door and tried to bury myself in my laptop, but every sound, the creak of the floorboards, the muted hum of the fridge, made me flinch. A soft knock made me jump. Ethan? Her voice drifted under the door. Can I come in? I hesitated. Why? I just want to talk. I sighed, unlocking the door. She stepped in, carrying a small, pristine white box. I got this for you, she said. I don't want anything, I snapped. Just open it, she insisted, calm but persistent. Reluctantly, I took the box. Light, wrapped in pale pink ribbon, it felt deceptively delicate. I lifted the lid, and froze. Inside lay a silver bracelet, delicate and understated, engraved with a single word, Lena. My stomach dropped. What is this? I demanded, my hands shaking. A gift, she said softly, stepping closer. A name should mean something. You've carried one that doesn't fit you for far too long. That's not my name. I snapped. And you don't get to decide it. Her voice lowered, almost a whisper, trembling slightly. Do you think I don't see? The way you avoid mirrors, the way you shrink into shadows. You're miserable, Ethan. You hate who you are. I don't. I shot back. Yes, you do, she said sharply, tears glimmering in her eyes. But it's not your fault. You've spent your whole life pretending to be someone else. I shook my head, stepping back. You're wrong. She moved closer, voice soft, deliberate. I'm your mother. I know you better than you know yourself. Her words coiled inside me like smoke. Part of me wanted to scream, part of me wanted to believe her. That night, I couldn't sleep. The bracelet sat on my nightstand, silver glinting faintly under the moonlight. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was absurd, just a piece of metal with a name that wasn't mine. But my eyes kept drifting back to it. And with every glance, I felt the weight of her voice, her certainty, pressing against me, whispering truths I wasn't ready to hear. But beneath the resistance, a strange, unsettling pull lingered. Somehow, deep down, the bracelet felt right. At 2 a.m., I rose from bed, my fingers trembling as I picked it up. Cool and smooth against my skin, it slid over my wrist almost on its own. For a fleeting, terrifying moment, a calm washed over me. A soft whisper floated from the hallway. I knew you'd put it on. I froze. Mom's silhouette filled the doorway, bathed in pale moonlight. What are you doing? I whispered. Not watching, she said, her voice low, steady. Waiting, sweetheart. My pulse thundered. You're sick. She shook her head gently, a ghost of a smile on her lips. No. Just patient. And with that, she stepped back, retreating into the shadows. Her footsteps faded down the hall, leaving me alone with the bracelet, and with a truth I couldn't name. I wanted to rip it off, to reclaim my old life, but I couldn't. In that moment, impossibly, it felt like it had always been mine. Morning came. Sunlight spilled through the blinds, catching the silver on my wrist. For a brief second, I almost forgot what it represented. Almost. Mom was already downstairs, humming softly as she carried a basket of laundry. She looked up as I appeared in the doorway. "Good morning, Lena," she said brightly. I froze mid-step. Her words landed like ice in my chest, strange, intimate, impossibly personal. "Mom," I said slowly, my voice tight. "Stop calling me that." She tilted her head, smiling gently. "Why not?" "It doesn't fit," I said, clenching my fists. "My name is Ethan." She set the laundry basket down, eyes soft but unwavering. "Ethan is a good boy," she said. "But Lena. Lena is the one I know I can help." I wanted to scream, to storm out, to reclaim my name, but her calm, patient tone rooted me to the spot. Almost hypnotic. Almost. Breakfast was tense. Fluffy pancakes, scrambled eggs, fresh fruit, my favorites, but every bite felt measured, like a test. Her eyes lingered on me with that quiet, deliberate weight, assessing, evaluating. When the table was cleared, she spoke again, voice light, almost casual. "I have something special planned for today." "What now?" I asked, my jaw tight. "Just a little practice," she said, her lips curving slightly. "Think of it as learning to be yourself." Before I could respond, she guided me to the living room. On the sofa lay a carefully arranged array of clothing, delicate blouses, flowing skirts, soft cardigans, shoes that clicked sharply against the floor. "I want you to try these on," she said softly. "I'm not doing that," I said immediately. Her smile didn't falter. "I thought you might say that," she murmured. "But remember, resisting only makes it harder to see the truth." "Insane," I muttered, stepping back. "No," she said, calm as ever. Patient. For hours, she coached me. How to sit, how to stand, how to walk, how to smile without fear. Every movement was measured, deliberate, almost surgical in its precision. She corrected the tilt of my head, the way I held my shoulders, even the rhythm of my breath. "Relax your shoulders, Lena," she whispered, and in that moment, I realized, she had already started calling me by the name she wanted me to be. "You're carrying too much tension," she murmured, adjusting my shoulders with careful precision. "Stop calling me that." I snapped, my voice echoing in the empty room. She didn't flinch. "You will answer to this name in time," she said softly. "For now, just focus on the movements." Her hands lingered for a moment, brushing against mine to correct my posture. The touch sent a jolt straight through me, sharp and impossible to ignore. I recoiled, heart hammering. "Why are you doing this? Why can't you leave me alone?" Her eyes softened, shimmering with something I couldn't name. "Because I love you, Lena. And love sometimes means guiding someone who cannot see their own path." Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes. "This isn't love. This is control." Her expression didn't waver, but her voice softened, almost tender. "Control isn't love, perhaps. But love requires patience and persistence." By mid-afternoon, the living room had transformed. Mirrors surrounded me on every side, reflecting my every movement back in endless angles. "See yourself," she whispered, reverent almost. "Watch how natural it looks. Watch how graceful you are." I refused. I hated it. I hated her. I hated what I saw. And yet, I couldn't stop looking. Subtle things crept in despite myself, the soft fall of my hair around my face, the gentle curve of my body beneath the skirt, the ease in my shoulders when I moved. I despised noticing it. Then she handed me a compact mirror. "Makeup," she said lightly. "Just a touch. Nothing dramatic." I glared. "No. I'm not doing that." Her tone didn't harden, it stayed calm, patient, inevitable. If you refuse, the lesson ends. You'll leave this room unchanged. But think carefully, are you resisting, or are you afraid to truly see yourself? My hands shook as I took the compact, the pale blush and subtle eyeliner staring back at me like a challenge. I followed her instructions, light strokes and careful blending. And when I looked up, I barely recognized the face in the mirror. It wasn't just makeup, it was a shift. A transformation. Something inside me twisted and rearranged itself against my will. She stepped closer, voice low and warm. Beautiful. See? This is you. No, I whispered, my voice breaking. This isn't me. Yes, she said softly, hand brushing my shoulder. It is. The real you. The one you've been hiding from, even from yourself. By evening, she had devised a series of small challenges, innocent enough on the surface, but designed to reshape me. Walk across the room with poise. Speak softly. Pour tea with delicate hands. Each exercise chipped away at my resistance, and with every success came her reward, a smile, a nod, a soft, approving, good girl. I hated the words. Yet, I craved them. Later, alone in my room, I stared at the bracelet glinting faintly on my wrist. Lena, I whispered. The name felt alien, terrifying, yet part of me recoiled at rejecting it entirely. For the first time, I realized this wasn't about clothes or makeup anymore. This was about control, and the most terrifying part? I wasn't sure I entirely hated it. The days that followed became a haze of lessons, corrections, and subtle rewards, each one eroding the boundaries between who I was and who she wanted me to be. Mom's control was relentless, yet wrapped in an almost serene patience. She never shouted, never forced me physically, and yet I felt trapped, bound in a way that left me trembling with unease. That morning, I woke to find my room transformed. Clothes were neatly folded on the bed, shoes aligned perfectly by the window, and a small note resting atop the pile. Today, you will spend the day as Lena. I crumpled it in my hands, heart hammering. The words were simple, almost tender, but underneath them was an unmistakable command. I tried to ignore it, to act as though I hadn't read it, but downstairs, she was waiting. Holding a soft blue dress and a pair of delicate flats, she smiled at me like the world was ordinary. No, I said immediately. I'm not wearing that. Her smile never wavered. I don't ask. I expect. The tension coiled tight in my chest. I had resisted before, but today felt different. She wasn't just guiding me, she was testing the limits of my defiance. I'm not your daughter, I whispered, my voice shaky. I never will be. Then prove it, she said lightly, handing me the dress. Wear it for 1 hour. If you hate it, I'll respect your choice afterward. The challenge sent my pulse racing. A part of me wanted to refuse, to scream, to run. But another, quieter part, one I barely acknowledged, curled in the back of my mind, curious. What would it feel like to obey? Mom's eyes softened. It's okay to be afraid, Lena. Fear doesn't make you wrong. I dressed reluctantly. The fabric brushed my skin softly, but it felt foreign, unfamiliar. I slipped into the flats and teetered slightly, hating the way they made every step feel delicate, exposed. She observed silently, patient, allowing me the discomfort without interference. Finally, fully dressed, I stood before her. She spoke, her voice low, almost reverent. You look beautiful. I flinched. Stop saying that. I'm only speaking the truth, she replied softly, the warmth in her gaze nearly maternal, almost dangerous. She guided me to the living room, where she had arranged a small course of exercises. Balance a teacup on a saucer, walk across the carpet with poise, read aloud from a children's book. Each task felt like a trial of identity. Every step in the flats, every movement of my hands, every word I spoke felt alien, as though someone else had taken residence in my body. And yet, a small, secret part of me, a part one hated to admit, thrived on the attention, the guidance, the soft approval. Mom watched my fumbled attempt at the teacup, her lips curving into a gentle smile. "Careful, Lena. You're doing wonderfully." The words hit me like a spark I wasn't ready to acknowledge, but I couldn't look away. I wanted to throw the teacup across the room. I wanted to run, disappear, erase every trace of today, but I didn't. Hours slipped by like slow poison. Each correction, each soft good girl, each patient gaze from Mom chipped away at me, fraying my resistance. Eventually, I collapsed onto the sofa, burying my face in my hands. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. She knelt beside me, one hand settling gently on my shoulder. "Because I love you," she said. "Because I see who you really are, even the part you've been hiding. Lena isn't someone I created. She's already inside you. You've just refused to see her." I shivered. "I don't want this part of me," I admitted. "You will," she murmured, almost tenderly, "or you'll keep running forever, never finding peace." Her words sliced deeper than I expected. I hated her. I hated myself. And yet, I couldn't look away. Later, lying on the bed and trying to shake the day from my bones, my eyes fell on the bracelet again. The silver gleamed faintly in the lamp's light, Lena engraved on it, small but insistent. I tried to shove the thought aside, to cling to Ethan, to the version of me I thought I knew. But the harder I resisted, the more I saw it in the mirror. My body felt different, lighter, softer, somehow less rigid. My movements, once awkward and clumsy, had begun to flow. I hated noticing it. And yet, I hated more that I didn't want to stop noticing. In the quiet of my room, the truth I'd been avoiding hit me. The transformation wasn't just skin deep. It was mental, emotional, inevitable. I was changing, whether I wanted to or not. And worse, a tiny, terrified part of me wondered if, somehow, a part of me wanted this. Morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, weak and pale. My body ached in ways I didn't expect, shoulders stiff, muscles sore from yesterday's endless corrections and lessons. My mind felt heavier, tangled in a knot of thoughts about Mom, the bracelet, Lena, and Ethan, until I couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. I heard her humming before she appeared, the sound soft, steady, almost mocking in its calmness. "Good morning, Lena," she said, her voice warm, expectant. I flinched. "Mom, stop." She didn't answer. She stepped closer, carrying a small clipboard like a general preparing orders. "Today," she said, "we begin the real challenge." "What challenge?" My voice trembled, tight with fear. "You've learned to move like Lena, speak like her, sit like her," she said smoothly. "Now it's time to be her, in front of someone else." I froze. "What? No. Absolutely not." Her smile remained serene, unshakable. "Don't worry. Just a friend of mine. Someone I trust. You'll be fine. You've already made progress." I opened my mouth to protest, to refuse, but my heartbeat thundered too loudly in my chest. And somehow, I knew it was useless. The tension in the room was almost unbearable. Mom led me down to the living room, where the furniture had been subtly rearranged, a chair angled just so, a small table neatly set with tea and cookies. And then I saw her, a neighbor, someone I barely knew, smiling politely, poised, the kind of person I had met only a few times. "Hi, Ethan," she said lightly, her voice casual. "Mom told me you'd be joining me for tea today." I froze. My fists clenched. I'm not Ethan." Mom's voice cut through the silence, calm, unwavering, controlling. "No, Lena. You will join her as Lena." My stomach dropped. This was the first real test. Someone other than Mom, someone outside the cocoon, witnessing me, transformed, hearing the name I had resisted for so long. I wanted to disappear. But my legs betrayed me, they carried me forward, stiff and hesitant, hard hammering. Mom had dressed me in a soft yellow dress, flaring slightly at the waist. My hair was brushed neatly, a tiny bow pinned above my ear. Every movement felt painfully deliberate, every step a tightrope act of exposure. The neighbor's eyes flicked toward me, curious, then warm. "You look lovely," she said. A shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't the praise I craved, it wasn't mine to accept. It was recognition of someone I didn't want to be. Mom nudged me gently toward the chair. "Sit, Lena. Serve the tea." I obeyed, moving like a marionette, my hands shaking as I poured, careful not to spill, careful not to shatter the fragile illusion Mom had so meticulously constructed. The neighbor chatted on, blissfully unaware of the tension coiling around us. Mom's occasional, subtle corrections, posture, hand movements, voice, reminded me, over and over, that I was not in control. "You're improving," she whispered softly. "See how natural it feels?" I glared at her, but a part of me could not deny the unsettling truth. It did feel natural. Too natural. My reflection in the teacup, the careful arc of my movements, even the soft tremor in my voice, it was all Lena. Piece by piece, she was replacing Ethan. Halfway through tea, a sudden knock at the door made my heart leap into my throat. Mom didn't flinch. "Probably the delivery," she said, serene. "Keep going, Lena." Another knock, louder this time. My hands trembled, the teacup wobbling slightly in my grasp. Mom rose, walked to the door, and opened it. A young man from the neighborhood stood there, holding a small package. "Delivery for Ethan. I mean, Lena." I froze. My old name on that package felt like a blade slicing through me. Mom's smile didn't waver, serene, confident, untouchable. "Yes," she said softly, almost reverently. "That's Rena." The delivery man left, and I exhaled shakily, chest tight, adrenaline still thrumming in my veins. For a fleeting second, I imagined bolting, vanishing into the street, but Mom's eyes caught mine, steady, unyielding. "You're safe," she whispered, her tone calm, almost hypnotic. "But the world is watching now. Every choice matters." By the time the visit ended, I was drained, muscles sore from endless posture corrections, my voice hoarse from speaking softly, my mind spinning from the constant scrutiny. Collapsing onto my bed later, it hit me, this wasn't a game anymore. Lena wasn't a mere persona to try on like clothes, she was being sculpted, tested, and now sent out into a world I didn't control. And, impossibly, a small, terrified, guilty part of me wondered, what if I could succeed? The next morning, the house felt tense, almost alive with expectation. Sleep had eluded me. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the room, and every creak of the floorboard sounded like a warning. Lena, the persona I hadn't chosen, lingered in my mind like a shadow, murmuring reminders of Mom's lessons. Mom appeared at the doorway, carrying a small box wrapped in soft pink paper. "Good morning, Lena," she said, voice gentle yet commanding. "Today we take another step." I recoiled. "Step? Mom, please. Stop this. I'm not Lena." Her smile was serene, unwavering. "I know, sweetheart. But Lena is the part of you that must be seen." I swallowed hard, gripping at Ethan like a lifeline, trying to reclaim control, but her calm certainty undermined my resolve. She guided me to the living room again, every detail meticulously arranged. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting me from countless angles, exaggerating every small movement. On the sofa sat the neighbor from yesterday, polite and expectant. A second chair had been added, and a man I vaguely recognized from the neighborhood leaned casually against the wall. "You've met him before, Lena," Mom said softly. "Don't be shy." I froze. Two strangers. Both expecting me to be someone I didn't feel I was. My chest tightened, hands trembling. "Sit," Mom instructed, nodding toward the center chair. I can't," I whispered. Yes, you can, she said gently, unshakable. You've done it before. You know you can. Reluctantly, I obeyed, each step heavy with humiliation and fear. The dress clung awkwardly, the flats pinched my feet, and my fingers shook as I folded them neatly on my lap, trying to mimic the grace Mom had drilled into me. The neighbor smiled, speaking in casual tones, questions about school, hobbies, favorite movies. Normal words, yet every syllable felt like a test, every glance a mirror reflecting Lena back at me, piece by piece. When I finally spoke, my voice barely sounded like it belonged to me. It came out soft, tentative, wrong. I hated it instantly. The second man leaned forward, studying me with open curiosity. You carry yourself well, he said. Most people couldn't manage that so naturally. My stomach dropped. I couldn't tell if it was praise or ridicule, and that uncertainty made it worse. Mom's hand settled lightly on my shoulder, steady and deliberate, as if anchoring me in place. You see, she murmured. You're doing wonderfully. That word again. Wonderfully. Like beautiful, it cut deep, acknowledging a version of me I was desperate to deny. Then came the test she'd been waiting for. She placed a small tray on my lap, a porcelain teacup, a saucer, a tiny spoon that gleamed under the light. Serve, she said quietly. Slowly. Every movement should mean something. My hands shook as I lifted the cup. The liquid wavered dangerously near the rim. I stopped breathing, terrified of spilling even a single drop. The neighbor smiled kindly. It's all right, Lena. Take your time. Hearing the name from someone else made my chest tighten. The room seemed to shrink until there was nothing but the fragile cup, my trembling hands, and Mom's watchful eyes. One mistake and everything would unravel. Halfway through, the second man stepped closer without warning. May I? He asked, reaching out to adjust my posture. Panic surged. Don't, I cried out, jerking back and nearly losing my balance. Mom's voice cut through the chaos, calm and firm. It's fine. He's helping you. Trust him. I froze, caught between instinct and obedience. His touch was light, careful, and the shiver that ran through me terrified me most of all. Fear tangled with something unfamiliar, something I didn't want to name. The mirrors surrounding us reflected everything, my stiff posture, my uncertain expression, the war playing out behind my eyes. Ethan and Lena. Resistance and compliance. Terror and a curiosity I refused to acknowledge. When it was finally over, the neighbors stood to leave, offering polite smiles and gentle compliments about my grace, my composure. I barely heard them. Later, I collapsed onto my bed, body shaking, mind unraveling. Lena was no longer just a role I was forced to play. She felt present. Alive. Every correction, every soft word of approval had worn me down, piece by piece. One thought wouldn't let go. What if I stopped resisting? What if Lena wasn't just imposed, but emerging? Tears blurred my vision as I stared at the bracelet on my wrist, silver catching the light, the engraved name whispering itself into my thoughts. I hated it. I feared it. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Mom stood silently in the doorway, watching. Her voice, when she spoke, was gentle, almost kind. Do you understand now? She asked. You're stronger than you think. But the world will test you. You'll have to decide whether you fight it, or accept who you are. I shook my head, breath shallow. I don't know. That's all right, she said, smiling softly. You will. That night, the house felt oppressive. Shadows clung to the walls. The ticking clock sounded like a countdown. Lena followed me everywhere, into every thought, every heartbeat. When Mom appeared again, holding a small box, her expression unreadable, I felt my blood run cold. Tonight, she said quietly, we finish what we began. Mom, please, I whispered. I can't. Her gaze held me in place, calm, unyielding, absolute. Yes, she said. You can. You've come far enough, Mom said, her voice steady, almost reverent. Lena is ready to step into the light. I swallowed hard. The room felt smaller, oppressive. My hands trembled uncontrollably. The dress from earlier clung awkwardly to my skin, stiff and foreign. I wanted to run, to vanish, to scream, but my body refused to obey. Mom guided me toward the living room. Mirrors covered every surface, reflecting my hesitant movements from dozens of angles. The neighbors from before were gone, replaced by a stranger, a woman whose smile was polite but whose gaze was sharp, measuring. You're ready, Mom whispered. Show her who you are. I shook my head violently. I'm not Lena. I'm Ethan. Mom's voice softened, but it carried an unyielding firmness. No, Ethan. Lena is part of you. The part the world has refused to acknowledge. Tonight, she steps forward. My chest tightened painfully. I felt squeezed between two selves, one screaming for escape, one trembling, almost wanting to obey. The visitor stepped closer. Her voice was gentle, soothing, but it carried authority. Relax. Just show me. How you move, how you sit, how you speak. Be yourself. I faltered. Every instinct urged me to flee, but Mom's eyes pinned me in place, heavy and inescapable. I took a hesitant step. Then another. My every movement felt deliberate, foreign, exposed. She handed me a teacup, delicate and fragile, and my hands shook violently. Pour, Mom instructed softly, each word measured. Every motion matters. The visitor's eyes roamed over me, silently judging. Every subtle correction from Mom, every glance, chipped away at my resistance. I felt myself fraying. And then it happened. My elbow brushed the edge of the tray. The cup wobbled dangerously. Careful, Lena, Mom whispered, her voice calm but taut with expectation. My breath hitched. My chest thudded. Time seemed to pause. The cup tipped. Shattered porcelain scattered across the floor. The visitor gasped softly. Mom remained composed, but her eyes bore into mine with piercing intensity. You see, she said quietly, almost like a chant, mistakes are part of learning. You cannot hide from Lena any longer. I collapsed onto the sofa, trembling violently. My hands shook. My heart raced. I wanted to scream, to run, to be Ethan again, but that part of me felt distant, almost unreal. Mom knelt beside me, her hand firm yet gentle on my shoulder. Breathe, she said. It's all right. You're doing beautifully. Mistakes don't define you. I shook my head frantically. No. I'm not her. I'm not Lena. Her grip tightened slightly, almost imperceptibly. Shoo. Lena exists within you, whether you accept it or not. And right now, the world is testing her. Will you rise, or remain hidden forever? The words cut through me like ice. Lena wasn't a name. She wasn't a persona. She was a reflection, a version of me I could no longer deny. A part of me I had spent my whole life hiding now stared back, impossible to deny. The visitor's faint smile lingered, as if she could see the storm raging inside me reflected in my trembling features. I closed my eyes, shivering. Every instinct screamed to resist, to run, to reclaim Ethan. And yet, buried beneath the fear and shame, a tiny, dangerous spark flickered, a curiosity I couldn't name, a thrill that made my pulse quicken. Mom's voice cut softly through the silence. You are stronger than you realize. But strength isn't just power, it's acceptance. Will you fight, or surrender? I opened my eyes. My reflection in the mirror was alien and intimate at once, delicate features, wide fearful eyes, and something else, something undeniable. I understood then, the breaking point wasn't a choice. It had already passed. Lena existed. Ethan existed. And neither would vanish. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted to fight with every ounce of my being. But the truth pressed down like a weight I could not lift. Lena wasn't just a mask. She was here. She was real. The room was hushed. Evening shadows stretched long across the walls, the soft glow of the lamps painting the mirrors in gold and gray. I sat, trembling, every nerve taut. Lena's reflection stared back at me, calm, poised, and terrifyingly concrete. Mom knelt beside me, her hand warm on my shoulder. "Do you feel it?" she asked softly. "Feel what?" My voice was a whisper, alien even to me. "This," she said, her gaze locked onto mine. "The part of you that's been hiding. The part you've been running from." Lena. I wanted to reject it, to claw back at Ethan, to deny every lesson, every moment, every mirror. But my throat constricted. No words came. Lena wasn't a role anymore. She was a presence inside me, inescapable, undeniable. Mom rose gracefully, moving toward the window. "Tomorrow, you'll meet the world as Lena. And this time, you won't be alone. Others will see her. They'll see her strength." Panic surged. "I can't. I'm not ready." Her voice remained calm, unwavering. "You are ready. Fear is normal, but hiding only makes it heavier. Embrace it, even if it terrifies you. Lena is part of you, and tonight, you will accept that." I shook my head violently. "No. I'm Ethan." Her hand brushed my cheek, gentle but firm. "Ethan is still here. But Lena, she's emerging. And there is no turning back." A sudden noise from the hallway made my heart leap. The neighbor from yesterday peeked in, her small smile polite. "Everything okay?" she asked. I froze. My secret, my duality, was exposed, even if only by implication. Could I hide Lena from her? Or had I already lost that fight? Mom's voice cut through, calm and commanding. "Everything is fine. Lena is learning. Watch and learn." The neighbor nodded, unaware of the tempest inside me. My hands shook. My reflection in the mirror, the soft bow in my hair, the delicate dress, all screamed the truth I wasn't ready to face. Later, I retreated to my room, struggling to breathe, trying to reclaim the control I thought I had. The bracelet on my wrist glinted silver, cold and insistent. Lena whispered inside my mind, soft, unrelenting. I hated her. I feared her. I was captivated by her. The mirror reflected both of us, Ethan, Lena. Struggling, merging, fighting for dominance. I touched the glass lightly, almost afraid of what I might feel. Mom appeared silently behind me, her hand resting lightly on my shoulder. "The choice isn't about Ethan or Lena anymore," she said softly. "It's about accepting that both exist. And the world is watching. How will you face it?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the bracelet from my wrist, destroy the mirrors, run. But deep inside, a strange, dangerous curiosity stirred, a thrill I couldn't deny. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the bracelet, at the mirrors, at my reflection. Questions spun through my mind. Would Mom push me further tomorrow? Would the neighbors notice? Would I crumble, or would Lena finally rise fully? A soft knock at the door made my chest jump. Mom's calm voice floated from the doorway. "Go answer it, Lena." The words pierced my mind, commanding, inescapable. Lena, not Ethan. My hands trembled as I moved toward the door. Every step was a battle. Every breath, a challenge. I reached the handle and froze. Behind the door, what awaited me? Recognition? Rejection? Acceptance? Or something far worse? I took a shaky breath. My hand pressed down on the knob. And there it hangs, the moment suspended between fear and surrender. Ethan and Lena, poised on the edge of discovery. The world waits beyond the door. The question lingers, sharp and electric. Who will answer when it opens? Ethan, Lena, or both?